Namaste, Jai Hind all. Today I am here with the topic Directive Principle of State Policy. The Directive Principle of State Policy is also termed as DPSP. The Directive Principle of State Policies are enumerated in Part 4 of the Constitution of India, Article 36 to 51. The framer of the Constitution borrowed this idea from the Constitution of Ireland. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described these principles as a novel feature of the Indian Constitution. The directive principle along with the fundamental right contain the philosophy of the Constitution and it is soul of the Indian Constitution. And I would like to let you know that the directive principle of state policies can be considered as a guideline for the welfare of the people that has been already discussed and framed to guide the people in each and every sphere of decision while they are taking for the betterment of the nation. So now one by one we will see what are the different directive principle of the state policy, how they have been categorized, how resourceful it is and how the government or state government is going to follow these guidelines and going to help the people for their progress, development and prosperity we can say. Now through Let's PPT we will see one by one what are the different types of directive principle, how they have been categorized, how resourceful it is for the betterment of the system and people. Directive Principle of State Policy, Article 36 to 51. Now we would like to talk about the Directive Principle of State Policy, concept and features. Directive Principle of State Policy, DPSP, are mentioned in Part 4 of the Indian Constitution from Article 36 to 51. DPSP are taken from the Constitution of Ireland. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described these principles as a noble feature of the Constitution. Directive principle is merely another name for the instrument of instructions. The only difference is that they are instructions to the legislature and the executive. These principles emphasize that the state shall try to promote the welfare of people by providing them basic facilities like shelter, food and clothing. It denotes the ideals that the state should keep in mind while formulating policies and enacting laws. It resembles the instrument of instructions enumerated in the Government of India Act of 1935. In the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the directive principles are like the instrument of instructions which were issued to the Governor General and to the governors of the colonies of India by the British government under the Government of India Act of 1935. The Constitution of India laid down certain directive principles of state policy which are fundamental in the governance of the nation. It is the duty of each Indian state to apply these principles while making laws, as these constitute a very comprehensive social, economic and political program for a modern welfare state. Unlike fundamental rights, the directive principle of state policy, that is DPSP, are non-binding in nature, which means they are not enforceable by the courts for their violation. They, however, impose a moral obligation on the state authorities for their implementation. They are non-justiciable in nature, which means that they are not legally enforceable by the courts for their violation. Though non-justiciable in nature, the directive principle helps the court in examining and determining the constitutional validity of law. It constitutes a very comprehensive economic, social and political program for a modern democratic state which aims at realizing the high ideals of justice, liberty, equality and fraternity as outlined in the preamble to the Constitution. They embody the concept of a welfare state that was absent during the colonial era. Classification of the directive principles. The Constitution of India does not formally classify the directive principle of state policy, but for better understanding and on the basis of content and direction, they can be classified into three categories: Socialistic Principle, Gandhian Principle, Liberal Intellectual Principle. Now through flowchart, I would like to let you know the classification of directive principle of state policy. Now Socialist Principle, Article 38, 39, 39A, 41, 42, 43, 43A, 47. Gandhian Principle, Article 40, 43, 43B, 46, 47, 48. Liberal principle. Articles 44, 45, 48, 48A, 49, 50, 51. Now, one by one we would like to discuss about the different principle. Number one, socialistic principle. These principles contemplate the ideology of socialism and lay down the framework of a democratic socialist state. The concept envisages providing social and economic justice so that the state should achieve the optimum norms of the welfare state. They direct the state through the following articles. Article 38. To promote the welfare of people by securing a social order through justice, social, economic and political, and to minimize inequalities in income, status, facilities and opportunities. Article 39. To secure a right to an adequate means of livelihood for all citizens, b. equitable distribution of material resources of the community for the common good. C. Operation of an economic system to prevent the concentration of wealth and means of production. D. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Preservation of the health and strength of workers and children against forcible abuse. E. Opportunities for the healthy development of children. Third, Article 39A. To promote equal justice and to provide free legal aid to the poor. 4. Article 41. To secure the right to work, right to education and right to public assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness and disablement. 5. Article 42. To make provision for just and human condition for work and maternity relief. Article 43. To secure a living wage, a decent standard of living and social and cultural opportunities for all workers. Article 43A. To take steps to secure the participation of workers in the management of industries. Article 47. To raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living of people and to improve public health. Now, I would like to talk about the Gandhian principle. First, I would like to let you know what is Gandhian philosophy or Gandhian ideology we can say. Gandhian ideology emphasis not on idealism but on practical idealism. Gandhian philosophy is a double-edged weapon. Its objective is to transform the individual and society simultaneously in accordance with the principle of truth and non-violence. Now see, these principles reflect the program of reconstruction enunciated by Gandhi during the national movement. In order to fulfill the dreams of Gandhi, some of his ideas were included in DPSP and they direct the state through the following articles. 1. Article 40. To organize village panchayat and endow them with necessary powers and authority to enable them to function as units of self-government. 2nd. Article 43. To promote cottage industry on an individual or corporation basis in rural areas. 3rd, Article 43B. To promote voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control and professional management of cooperative societies. 4. Article 46. To promote the educational and economic interests of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other weaker sections of the society and to protect them from social injustice and exploitation. 5th, Article 47. To prohibit the consumption of intoxicating drinks and drugs which are injurious to health. 6. Article 48. To prohibit the slaughter of cows, calves and other milch and draught cattle and to improve their breeds. Now, liberal intellectual principle. Now, first of all, I would like to let you know about liberalism, how liberal we should be, and accordingly we are going to work for the betterment of people as a guideline for the welfare of the state. Liberalism is a political and moral philosophy based on liberty, consent of the governed and equality before the law, while the British liberal tradition has emphasized explaining democracy, that is the national building concept. Now one by one we see what are the different liberal intellectual principles. These principles are inclined towards the ideology of liberalism and they direct the state through the following articles. Number 1, Article 44. To secure for all citizens a uniform civil code throughout the country. 2nd, Article 45. to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. Third, Article 48 to organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. 4. Article 48A to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard forests and wildlife. 5. Article 49 to protect monuments, places and objects of artistic or historic interest which are declared to be of national importance. 6. Article 50 to separate the judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. 7. Article 51 to promote international peace and security and maintain just and honorable relations between nations to foster respect for international law and treaty obligations and to encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration. New provisions of Directive Principle of State Policy after amendment. 4 new Directive Principles were added in the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 to the original list. These are: number 1, added clause in Article 39 to secure opportunities for healthy development of children. Number 2, added clause in Article 39 as Article 39A to promote equal justice and to provide free legal aid to the poor. Third, added clause in Article 43 as Article 43A to take steps to secure the participation of workers in the management of industries. Fourth, added clause in Article 48 as Article 48A to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard forest and wildlife. Important facts about Police FIR. Now we will see what is FIR, First Information Report. Now, the 44th Amendment Act of 1978 added one more DPSP which requires the state to minimize inequalities in income, status, facilities and opportunities under Article 38. The 86th Amendment Act of 2002 changed the subject matter of Article 45 and made elementary education a fundamental right under Article 21A. The amended directive required the state to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 14 years. The 97th Amendment Act of 2011 added a new DPSP relating to cooperative societies. It envisages that the state promotes voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control and professional management of cooperative societies, Article 43B. In a nutshell, now it's a time to conclude. The Directive Principle of State Policy refers to those principles which should be kept in mind by the state. While formulating policies, they are non-justiciable, which means one cannot approach the court for its non-implementation, but can be referred to by the Supreme Court while deciding whether a particular policy is unconstitutional or not. Thank you. If you like my video, please subscribe and update me for the latest video which I should prepare for you all.